In late March, I was in the car by myself with about 3 hours of driving planned. My favorite time to break out an audiobook. And on this particular day, it was The Six Types of Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni. Lencioni has written a lot of terrific books that have impacted my company and my leadership. The first half or more of every Lencioni book is a fable, which makes every book super engaging. But this fable was a little too engaging because as I listened to The Six Types of Working Genius, I started to wonder if Pat and his people at the table group had been spying on me. The fable seemed to be written about me and my company. There were these oddly specific details about how the main character, his name was Jeremiah Bull Brooks, was eerily similar to me. Not just him, but his career path, his wife's background, his team, his strengths, his weaknesses and struggles. It was bizarre. Of course, nobody was spying. It was simply the right book landing in my lap at exactly the right time. Here at Spire, we're blessed with a strong team of talented, passionate people. But in the start of 2023, things were starting to feel a little out of sync. The day after consuming this book in my car, I quickly scribbled the framework out at our quarterly planning, explaining it to our lead team. While they hadn't yet read it, they saw enough value to agree that we would introduce Working Genius company-wide in Q2. It was the easiest rollout ever. I simply started sending links to employees to take the Working Genius assessment. And as people got their results, I charted it on the whiteboard in my office, and within 10 days, everyone in the company had taken the assessment. There was quickly this positive buzz about how this book might affect the way we do work at Spire, and how every member of our team might find more joy in the work that they do. So this video is a review of Lencioni's breakthrough model. This is not a replacement for reading the book. You should definitely buy the book and read it. First, think about how work gets done. Someone has an idea. Perhaps it's in response to a problem or a need, and that is ideation. And then the work has to get done. That's implementation. Except it's not quite that simple. When ideas turn into action, there's an essential middle stage called activation, where the ideas get tested and then people are encouraged to respond and help. I used a fire icon for activation because it's about both refining ideas and igniting action. This is where the 6 types of working genius come in. See, every phase of work has 2 parts. Ideation starts with wonder, a question or an observation, and that wonder leads to invention, an idea or a solution. Activation starts with discernment, refining those ideas to make them better, and ideas that survive discernment lead to galvanizing, prompting and motivating others to take action. Implementation starts with people who excel at enablement, which are those people who step forward and being ready to help. And the work gets finished by people with tenacity who push it across the finish line. These are the 6 types of working genius. According to Lencioni's research, these 6 types are going to land in 3 buckets for every person. 2 of the 6 types will be your working genius, areas that give you joy, energy, and passion. 2 more of the 6 types will be your working competencies, areas that you may not love, but you don't find completely miserable to do either. And the final 2 of the 6 types will be your working frustrations. These are areas that drain you of your joy and your energy. You might actually be effective or even good at things that land in your working frustration. Certainly, we all have to do some work in all 6 areas. But if you spend too much time in your working frustration and not enough time in your working genius, you're going to end up burnout, exhausted, and perhaps dreading your work. So with that in mind, let's revisit the 6 types and take time to consider which areas might be your working genius and which areas might be your working frustration. It's helpful to know your working genius, and it gets really powerful when you can see your entire team. You'll understand how you can help each other and where your gaps might be. The book and assessment shows a team map, but it was hard to visualize the geniuses in a logical flow. So I created this alternative version where we map our team. Green is genius, red is frustration, and we show darker shades of green and red to indicate the strongest genius and the biggest frustration. You'll start to find people who are operating in areas of frustration and ways that you can free each other up to use one another's working genius in a way that makes everything better. For example, meetings and other work conversations can sometimes get blown up because the purpose of a conversation isn't clear. Lencioni talks about 4 kinds of work conversations. Brainstorming conversations are centered on wonder and invention, with discernment playing an important role too. But people with enablement and tenacity genius might accidentally blow up these conversations, stifling ideation by focusing too early on how these ideas will actually get done. Decision-making conversations are centered on discernment, deciding whether to move forward with a proposed idea. Launch conversations are about getting people excited about a decision and enlisting them in the initial steps that you need to take. This is centered around galvanizing and enablement. And status review is the most frequent type of conversation. It's focused on the status of the work, identifying and resolving issues that might stand in the way of getting it done. People with wonder and invention genius might accidentally blow up these conversations by distracting the meetings with new ideas that complicate the task at hand. So that's it. This framework has quickly become a valuable tool here at Spire. It helps to understand how each member of our team is wired. But more than that, it helps us to have a shared language where everyone on our team can understand one another in a new way. Within days of sharing this framework with our team, we started seeing ways to help each other work better. Your frustrations are my joys, and my frustrations are your joys. So let's help each other offload some stuff that saps our energy and replace it with stuff that brings us joy and energy. I encourage you to read the book and get everyone on your team to take the assessment at workinggenius.com. A special thank you to Patrick Lencioni for inventing the framework and his team at the Table Group who had the tenacity to implement and bring this framework to the world.